Hello and welcome to Scientifically Speaking, and today we are talking about the base code of the universe. I have just shown or written that mainstream science has discovered vortex to vortex ring inside magnetic material. So I then showed the sign of God, which is a sign of a ram's horns. I then showed what I've been showing for 6 years now, that energy and matter are separate, and that energy travels from a vortex to what I call a halo wave, an Ouroboros sphere. An Ouroboros is the snake that eats itself. This means it has clockwise and counterclockwise rotation within the ring, and also within the vortex beneath it. So science says that it's found both vortex, and now it has found vortex rings. Apparently, they were predicted. So let's have a look at this, a couple of articles here to show what men and women are trying to discover. If all atoms are electromagnetism, then knowing how they work and how they function would mean you could manipulate atoms and photons and everything else. So whatever they say about its ramifications and what it can be applied to, if you can control atoms and what they do, you can do anything. You can create anything you want, having the power of electromagnetism at your command, which is a bit like the Prince of the Air, because he's the Prince of the Air, and air is electromagnetism, moving a medium, air. Okay, so let's go through the first one. Trippy vortex rings inside magnetic material seen for the first time, says study. Studying the magnetic ring vortex could help advance data science and neuromorphic engineering. Everywhere we find fluid, we'll also find vortex rings. But recently, scientists discovered them in an intriguing place, inside a tiny pillar composed of magnetic material. The gadolinium, whatever that is, cobalt intermetallic compound called GdCO2, according to a recent study published in the journal Nature. Typically, when we think of material rings, we remember smoke or underwater bubble rings, and they're formed when fluid flows back onto itself after making its way through the constricted space of a hole or a tube. Now, a hole or a tube, obviously, is a vortex. You have two lungs. These rotate in different directions when they breathe in air. So when it is expelled, it forms an Ouroboros field in front of your face, which is what happens when you blow fluid or air through a constricted space of a hole or a tube. The new study marks the first time vortex rings were identified in a magnetic material and confirms a prediction decades in waiting. So this has been predicted, and I've been talking about it and showing a lot of it in all of life. Additionally, it could also help scientists confirm even more complex magnetic structures theoretically predicted, ones we might use to develop new and inspiring technologies like, yes, bodies. It's called bulk magnetism, knowing what happens to vortices and how they create movement when you squash a pile of magnets together, which is what atoms are. Magnetic ring vortex seen paired with an anti-vortex. Magnetic ring vortices are initially predicted more than 20 years ago, 1998. Nigel Cooper of the University of Cambridge showed the world how magnetic vortices are not unlike the vortices rings we see in fluid dynamics. We've read and just heard all that. Eventually, the technology required to image magnetization within a material beyond the surface layer was developed, blah, blah, blah. While engaged in the experiments, the researchers, under the leadership of Claire Donnelly, found vortices like those we see when we pull a sink out of water. Maybe that's a plug. Sink, a plug out the sink of water. Such vortices were even paired with their topological counterparts called antivortices. And so this would be two vortices, clockwise and counterclockwise. Which is what I've said for 6 or 7 years now. I'm the only person who has said there is clockwise and counterclockwise. And I've shown it in everything. However, the vortices don't behave the way scientists thought they would. Fluid rings are constantly in motion and last for a short time, so they thought magnetic ring vortices would follow the same pattern of behaviour, rolling through magnetic material before fading away. Breaking with this theory and proving it was incorrect, the new trippy vortices held still in a static state. And again, I showed in a couple of videos ago that I did a vortex ring magnet pyramid, and that's how magnets are relatively constructed, as a pyramid of rings that don't move. One of the main puzzles is why these structures are so unexpectedly stable. Like smoke rings, they are only supposed to exist in moving objects. Through a combination of analytical calculations and considerations of the data, we determined the root of their stability to the magnetostatic interaction, added Donnelly. To simplify, these newly observed vortices interact with magnetization structures surrounding them, holding the rings in place and causing stabilization. That would be the vortex to ring, as we can see right there. A vortex ring as it exits a gun muzzle. This is how energy travels. It travels as a vortex until it meets an energy or matter barrier, and then it must perform a rollover halo wave so that it can then machine what it's hitting and blast through it, which is why on the other side of that ring on the left hand side there is material, because then the ring accelerates material through the center, the bullet. Every ring vortex we see hints at the trippy future of magnetic technology. Additionally, the newly witnessed vortex rings might also help us better grasp magnetization itself. Well, of course it will, because that shows you that there's a ring on one side of a magnet and there must be a ring on the other, which gives you a double torus, which isn't a torus, it's two double halo waves, which I've shown on video. The observation of stable magnetic vortex rings open up possibilities for further studies of complex three-dimensional solitons in bulk magnets. There we go. Enabling the development of application based on three-dimensional magnetic structures, which is what we are. So you could control all matter if you can control all magnetism and know what it is. So who else do we have here? We had this one, I did a video on this a few videos back. This is Claire Donnelly again talking about, hey look, we found stable structures. This is what I've been promoting that God showed me for the past 6 years. Now, Claire doesn't even know what the heck is going on or how they're even formed. I've done detailed accounts of how vortex to Ouroboros sphere ring magnet actually occurs, and I've written it in loads of different videos. So you would have to go back on all my videos to have a look. But these people are finding things and they have no clue. They have a lot of information, but they don't have any wisdom to apply to the knowledge, so they actually know, which is quite satisfying, really, to know that some men are, well, women, no closer to understanding what's in their face, whereas all my subscribers who watch this channel know I've fully explained it and shown it in smoke and water and plasma and all kinds of things, radiation, you name it. And that's all down to God showing it to me. All I've done is relay what God showed me. All those pictures in my head led to today. And the base code of the universe is vortex to ring. God's sign is a set of horns. This is a cross-section of a vortex to a ring, because it is coiled inside like a horn, because it's a double helix, clockwise and counterclockwise, rotating together. Energy is a scroll, a double helix scroll that is like a piece of paper where you wind in both sides, or you wind one side to the left and one side to the right, and then you fold over the top, which you can't do with a piece of paper. You could, but it just looked like a trumpet. So now, while we're here, now we move on to God. What do we see? What do we see over here? This is the vortex to ring magnet on the menorah that is depicted. It says vortex, Ouroboros sphere, vortex, Ouroboros sphere. It was how they were constructed. Just give me the smallest pictures ever, why don't you? This, and it's of course like a flower, because that's how flowers are made. Once they open up, they are no longer a sphere, they are made out of petal waves, electromagnetic petal waves. Is there any real bloody pictures? God, I hate the internet, sometimes it's so crap. Here's a menorah painting. No, I want an old menorah painting. One that's actually like, again, we have cups and Ouroboros fields. Again, obviously, the internet is not designed to give me what I want. It's designed to give me a pile of garbage. So how do you put in the menorah symbols? Are we going to see any pictures, paintings, whatever? How about that one? Oh, that's a very old carving, hopefully. Yeah, unfortunately, but there we go. So, vortex, ring sphere, Ouroboros sphere. It's what the menorah, it's how it's constructed. It's now telling us that God is an energy being who deals in electricity and magnetism. And its form of travel is a vortex to an Ouroboros ring sphere. There's many other pictures out there, but mine's not showing me. Again, here we go. Right, I think that'll have to do, because the pictures are pretty garbage, but literally every single one of them has got on a ring, a vortex to a ring sphere. God is telling us all that he is a electromagnetic energy being. Energy and matter are separate. Energy attracts matter. Matter covers energy. Energy moves matter. It's that simple. Okay, now here's some of my work, which also shows vortex to Ouroboros ring sphere. Thanks a lot.
Today we're going to look for the base code of the universe. It has already been discovered in science just lately. Now, the base code of the universe has mathematical equations behind it, of course, but it also has a shape. And in the studies done, it shows that inside a magnetism, there is a magnetic vortex, and now they've just discovered a magnetic ring. This, of course, would be the ring. It's called an Ouroboros field due to the integrated rotations of electromagnetism. So I've been doing this for God after receiving visions, and I wrote it down on many pieces of paper, and obviously yin and yang is a vortex towards you and a vortex away from you. So I've already shown many times that it's a vortex to a ring, and things like this are telling you the exact mode of travel of what's going up and what's going down. And that's all because it was based on a lot of the this eye, and due to all the different magnetic rotations. So I explained what energy does. Now, all this information was given to me by God in visions, no words, just 100 million pictures of energy and matter being separate. The first thing I learned was that energy and matter are separate. And it's worth showing. Look at that. Oh, that's it. These are all to do with the Eye of Horus, and this is where I documented every single kind of rotation. So That's a pretty good picture of what it is. So that rotations, blah, 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 blah. And this is all based on vortex to magnetic ring vortex. And also showing energy in, matter out, or matter in, energy out. This describes why and how you are male or female due to the rotation of energy through DNA. So what I'm really doing here is they're showing that since the beginning of 2014 everything has always been vortex, and this obviously a slice, so this is a ring with a double helix, which is what makes it an Ouroboros field. One snake is going that way, one snake is going that way. Ouroboros field. It's not a torus, and that's why this woman doesn't call it a torus. She calls it a magnetic ring, or a ring magnet. But this is all the latest stuff where it's starting to get a bit bonkers. Look at the information. Let's get back to some really simple stuff, because all of this obviously is a little bit more complicated. So we're just going to get down to the bottom of the work, so to speak. These are from the videos. These are all different angles, shapes. Pretty much your sequencing, flare dimensions of stars. Yeah, so here's a very simple one. Particle to wave, and wave to particle. So you got your vortex, roll over halo wave, which is a ring with a matter splat, which creates a halo. Your ring magnetism. This is in based on smoke and Tesla's fluid diode, which creates a flow in one direction, and the rotating rings of liquid keep pushing everything up, so there's no backflow, and that's how a double helix Ouroboros field works. But I've always gone vortex to ring. That is the base code of the universe. Smoke does it, forms a halo, forms a wave. Another breakdown, just showing you the forms of travel, 137.5 degrees between each limb. Change. So, vortex to wave for the double slit. Crazy of material. All energy is a scroll. It just depends on which way you twist that scroll of energy. Again, vortex, Ouroboros field, how the planets are kept out on a wave. The rotation this way creates rotation that way around the sun, which I've shown here. Again, vortex to a wave. Vortex. Again, vortex to wave to halo, which then will become a ring. This is from 2015, so ever since the beginning I've spoken about vortex to halo wave, which is magnetic vortex to ring, magnetic ring vortex. Here it is again, showing the complete form of travel. Vortex wave, beginning of vortex to halo, side above becomes this. This is a magnetic ring vortex and our vortex. I suppose I could keep going through all of this, Let's just skip a little bit. Some more pack stuff. Yeah. Yeah. Again, more magnetism. Boop, 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 boop. Let's do the shapes. Horus again. Just too much information, really. And working out phi and pi. Phi, which way is it? We're going to decrease in plane. All that crazy stuff that even I'm like, oh, when did I do that? Nothing. Oh, the business income. So this is a bit too complicated for the person who wrote, who discovered that there was magnetic ring vortices. Like this is all way beyond where she is right now, obviously, so just looking for the easiest stuff just to prove that I already said. Now plants grow due to vortex wave. These are two waves which become plant growth. Two horns, the left of God, that's a sun flare happening, because there's no magnetic reconnection, there's no such thing, there's just two vortices wound together, sun filaments. So it's always been vortex to halo wave, and from that you can work out anything. Now waves roll to more helix energy. So that's not a blah. Anyway, I think we found enough to kind of show that, oh yeah, he knows what he's talking about when it comes to rotations and torque. And the very fact that it's always been vortex to halo wave magnetic connections, stuff like that. Anyway, I think we've got another 2 or 3 books there, but I think we're good. Yeah. And on that watery note of dropping water everywhere, we're going to leave it the proof.
Well, hopefully that shows that everything I've been saying has come from God, because I'm using the signs of God, and the signs that he showed us show vortex to Ouroboros sphere, Ouroboros ring, and mainstream science have finally caught up. And the worst thing about it is people like Claire Donnelly don't even know what they've got. They have information, but they have no wisdom to understand what it is. So my channel has always been about explaining what science can't explain, because it's in my head to see it, and I wrote it all down. So thanks to God for showing me the base code of the universe, which never made me want to invent anything. It just made me appreciative of the fact that everything has been made. And this is confirmed in the menorah, showing a vortex to a ring or a trumpet. So thanks very much. My name is Lee. I follow the Christ, and I've shown you everything that he showed me, and I've proven that I did it all before mainstream science caught up, and they haven't even caught up. They've just said there's a vortex and there's a ring, and they're both stable. And that's how God built a menorah, by a stable vortex to ring mechanism. Thanks a lot.